The imminent debut of Joe Flacco, Cincinnati Bengal. His star receiver, by the way, Jamar Chase, officially going to be listed as questionable. Came down with an illness last night. So for all those reps, you don't have a lot of them in a game week. Just slice that now by 1/3. There's even fewer opportunities for Joe Flacco and Jamar Chase to kind of try to work out the rhythm and timing. But Joe Flacco, just a short time ago during the show, was at the podium, talked about the moment that he heard he had been traded within the state of Ohio from the Browns to the Bengals.
Crazy business. You know, you have to be ready for anything. That's kind of what it was. You know, definitely didn't have this on my list of things that were, you know, going to happen. So, but hey, that's this league, and I'm a player. I think most players would say the same thing. I mean, you know, I like to play football, and if that's in Cincinnati right now, then, you know, I'm all for it.
2 years ago, right now, Joe Flacco is out of the league. He is on his couch. No one has signed him. He's trying to figure out, is he going into broadcasting? What's he going to do for the rest of his life? The Browns go through a bunch of other quarterbacks. Everybody gets hurt. Leads them to the playoffs. Think of this. In a 24-month span, has come off the couch, led the Browns to the playoffs, gone to Indianapolis, backed up Anthony Richardson, gotten to take over for Anthony Richardson before they went back to Anthony Richardson, returns to Cleveland, wins a sort of quarterback battle where basically everyone else was hurt through the course of camp and there wasn't a whole lot of options, but they also liked Flacco enough for him to be the guy. Now gets traded to Cincinnati and will face the Packers on Sunday, literally 5 days after he got traded. Here's what Flacco had to say about that preparation time.
You honestly just have, like I said, it goes back to just, I think my personality probably ends up helping me here, but you just kind of have to go with it and embrace whatever it is and meet it head on. And then also, like, when you're in these situations, it's a good reminder of the fact that we get to play a game for a living, and, you know, try not, it makes it almost a little bit easier to not make it bigger than it actually is.
All right, so Joe Flacco walks in the door to a Bengals team that had such high expectations, right? You think through their entire offseason, you re-sign Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, you get Trey Hendrickson back after a protracted back and forth. Joe Burrow is finally healthy. He's got a normal offseason. He's got, you know, everything in front of him. I sat down with Joe in training camp, and I was asking him, like, what's the next step? And he basically said was, like, it's perfection, and I think I'm, like, pretty close to it. This is a guy who we're talking about as an MVP candidate, gets hurt almost immediately, week 2 of the season. Jake Browning, who you would have regarded going into the season as probably a top 10 backup in the NFL, nothing goes right. 3 games riddled with turnovers, 3 losses, 2-3. And now in comes Joe Flacco, who has a foundation in the offense. But if you go back through the course of time, when we've had trades, when we've had signings, it is really, really rare to acquire a quarterback more than any other position and start him that week. Whether it's when the Vikings acquired, you know, Sam Bradford, when it's, you know, any number of other those types of deals. Usually you need a week just to acclimate.
Yeah, right.
But part of the challenge for the Bengals was next week, they don't have a normal week. Next week is a Thursday night game against the Steelers. So if you don't give Joe Flacco all the reps, and again, he misses out on a day of them with his top receiver, but if you don't give him all the reps this week, the soonest you would give him a normal week would be going into week 8. And by that point, you might be 2-5, and it doesn't matter anymore because the season's over. So Zach Taylor comes out, yesterday and says, like, Joe is starting. Like, that's the plan. He is going to be the starter on Wednesday. That's kind of out of necessity here. You need something to jumpstart you. You're in a hostile environment in Green Bay, a Packers defense that has already seen you once and essentially shut you down for 57, 58 minutes. The Browns offense did not score a point, did not score a touchdown anyway, against the Packers. They only get the opportunity on a short field because Jordan Love throws a terrible interception that allows them to flip the game, and they punch one in. It's not like Joe Flacco lit these guys up. Yeah, it was his one win this season with the Browns, but it was the defense that drove that game. Flacco played well enough out of the gate against the Bengals that but for a missed field goal, they're winning that game. I understand why Cincinnati has to do it. His physical skill set is a fit because of the processing ability, see it, rip it. He's always had great arm twitch, very subtle, fine mechanics that help him fit into an offense like that. But he's 40. I mean, the last time we saw Joe Flacco, it was a game that was so bad that the Browns had to go to Dylan Gabriel sooner than they wanted to. Going into this season, we were going to see Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders at some point. You did not want to start, if you're the Browns, you're Kevin Stefanski, Dylan Gabriel in the initial gauntlet of your season. Flacco was so bad in the Lions game, they basically went, all right, we got to, we're facing Brian Flores in London this week, but we got to do something different. Because when you continue to play somebody who's not playing well, just like with the Giants when they went to Jackson Dart, ideally, you would have gone longer with Russ. But you get to a certain point, the locker room always knows. And if you got a guy who's throwing the ball away, he's not making plays, you can't stick with him, which exactly what's happened in Cincinnati, too. They've seen Jake Browning have a lot of success. But the Jake Browning last week that throws 3 picks and puts you in another hole, you can't go on like it. Right. I know the question Susie asked me on the show yesterday was, is this an upgrade? I don't know. That's the honest truth. It is going to be dependent on how Joe Flacco comes out and plays. He's not going to extend plays like Jake Browning. He's not going to get outside the pocket. He's probably going to be a little bit better at playing on rhythm. But is he going to protect the football better? He didn't do it in Cleveland. That's why he's not the starter there now. Let's see what type of plan. They got good coaches there, from Zach Taylor to Dan Pitcher. They've got guys who know that position. Let's see what type of game plan they put out there for him. Again, going into a place that's really, really tough to win against one of the most talented defenses in the NFL right out of the gate.
Yeah, Vegas isn't expecting much. They're 2 touchdown underdogs to the Packers.
Micah Parsons, the defense is healthier. The offensive line is healing up for Green Bay. The biggest issue the Packers have is Brandon McManus, the kicker's got a quad injury and might not be able to go. McManus says he can go. You don't want to be, ask the Browns, any number of teams about that. Go with a backup kicker?
Not great.
Could be, a challenge at times. But on paper, there's every reason to think this should be all Packers. But you're just trying to get, hey, let's get some juice going here. Let's maybe be able to play a little bit differently than we were with Jake Browning. That is, to me, that is one of the games of the week.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.